Stacy Washington from Stacy on the Right with us on the program. Stacy, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Cam. How are you?
I'm good. Any llama expos in your future?
You know, if they bring one here, I'll take the kids.
Do it.
I'm equal opportunity on the llama.
Why not?
Yeah.
Just not the drama llama.
Not the drama llama. If it's a drama llama, then no.
And, you know, Russell Simmons is bringing the drama llama.
Well, and he's always a drama llama, right? A misinformed drama llama. I hate to, but I got to be truthful. I can't bring half-butted stuff onto your show. He's just dramatic and factually incorrect.
Yeah. So this all started, Colion Noir, who's incredibly popular on YouTube, is going to be a new commentator here on NRA-News. And Russell Simmons apparently very upset about this. It started, he tweeted a commentary that he had written for his website, and it basically accused Colion of what, Stacy? Well,
basically for being used by the racists at the NRA, and allowing himself to be used by the racists at the NRA by advocating for more gun violence and siding with the people who, he's speaking about the NRA, he actually thinks that, Russell Simmons thinks that the NRA were the ones who were stopping black people from voting and burning crosses in people's yards, and basically any racial animus was precipitated by the NRA, and that the NRA was originally the group keeping blacks from having guns back, way back in segregation and even before that.
When, of course, the NRA was founded in 1871 by a couple of Union generals in New York State who were concerned about the marksmanship in this country. And there were a number of individuals within the NRA who were concerned about what black Americans, newly freed slaves, were going through in the reconstructed South, where they were being subjected to all kinds of deprivations of their rights, including their right to keep and bear arms, and violence. I mean, look at the Colfax Massacre, where you had dozens of individuals killed for, again, exercising their Second Amendment rights in defense of exercising their ability to vote and to try to have fair elections.
And what the NRA was doing was trying to train and arm blacks so that they could defend themselves, to make them safer. So, one of the earliest organizations that actually sided with black people newly freed from slavery to give them the freedom to know that they could defend themselves, even if they were outnumbered or faced with, a terrifying situation like being surrounded by the KKK, just to give them a fighting chance, basically. And so to know that historical fact, you would then think, well, the NRA has its roots in protecting others and offering safety and training to others and basically just extending the Second Amendment rights of Americans. How do you get from that point to the NRA wants more mass shootings and all that other bull? It's such a leap. I don't understand how he gets there, but that's where he is. And he was confronting Mr. Noir with this on Twitter, and he actually took the high road and responded with, very even-keeled tweets. He didn't go all, Stacy on the right and say your mom. He was great. But all of this kind of morphed onto Facebook, and I was on Facebook and saw this, and I'm like, who is this Mr. Colion Noir? I don't get this at all. So I click on the link, and I got to say, I got a 2A crush on this dude big time. I am now doing a series of blog posts. I'm exposing it. You're the first people to find out, unless you follow me on Twitter at @Stacy on the Right.
Yeah.
And basically, what I'm doing is all of my favorite Mr. Colion Noir videos, I post the video, and then underneath, any words that he says that I don't know, I put that word and the definition, and this is like me, Stacy Washington. I'm learning from Mr. Noir, and I'm teaching others. I'm spreading it throughout my network that we're all going to learn the difference between a clip and a magazine. We're all going to know what the AK and AK-47 stands for. We're all going to be well-versed in the Second Amendment so that we can speak to it with confidence. And we're also, I've been going to the range. I'm doing a once-a-week range thing.
Yeah.
And, because I want to be a proficient and well-educated, safe gun owner. And I want to make sure that by my example, hopefully other people will get interested in it. And if nothing else, learn what the terminology is. The correct usage of the terminology would take us light years ahead in the conversation.
Well, no, I think that's absolutely right. You know, and it's funny, Stacy. We talk about a war of words, and it really is a war of words because you've got phrases being made up out of whole cloth, like assault magazine, and all of a sudden we've gone from gun control to gun safety, and you know, it's the same group, same agenda, but all of a sudden now we've got a whole new phrase here. So I think language actually is very important in this debate, and being able to talk about things correctly, like magazines, to be able to refer to things like collapsible stocks or extendable stocks, or barrel shrouds, or bayonet lugs, or shoulder things that go up, or
You're talking. We're now on the same language, Cam. So these are the words that I showcased today, and anyone can go to my blog and check them out. I tell everyone. I did this research myself. Of course, Colion does the videos, right? I can't do those. I'm not as proficient as he is. Clearly, he's a gun nut and an aficionado. So we give props to him by playing his video. You watch it, and then afterwards you go down through, and I have them in bold. Like, what does the AK and AK-47 and AK-74 stand for? Alexander Kashelnikov, the creator of the AK-47. AR-15, what is it? 223, what is that? Barrel shroud, you just named that. I know what that is now because I looked it up today and I put it in the blog post. So I will, in a few months, be able to speak and converse very cogently in the language that most gun aficionados use, and hopefully by then I will also be very proficient with more than one type of weapon. So I'm working on this because I really think leading by example is going to be much more. It's going to speak to people more if I know what I'm talking about. I mean, to this level, this guy really, he's like you. You guys are going to be best friends, I think. It's cool. I
got to tell you, I'm really excited about getting to meet Colion. I was hoping to actually do so today, but hopefully next week we'll be able to spend some time together. And, you know, I'm just curious, Stacy, is it, you know, when you see this stuff like from Russell Simmons, and I think somebody else has given Colion grief about doing a commentary for NRA-News as well. Like, do you ever get grief for coming on this show?
Well, no, I don't get grief for coming on the show, and it's probably because the right liberals in my life don't know that I'm doing it. I do. I tweet, I put it on Facebook, but I have a feeling, Cam, that I will be experiencing a little bit more thunder and heat from those in my life, mainly because I'm now doing these blog posts, which, you know, that's kind of the last area. And I had kind of been intentionally not putting too much Second Amendment stuff on my blog because I'm a sitting school board member and people know where I live. My address is online. You know, I'm very exposed. But I also feel, you know, I'm in the last year of my term, and I've been pretty bold on everything else. And I really need to speak out about this because I truly believe in it. I truly believe in what the NRA has done for this country, and it is really for this country, for all of us, for our Second Amendment rights, and also for individuals who want to protect themselves. And so we got to talk about it. I'm talking to you about it, but I'm going to be talking on the blog about it and sharing information. I hope that they don't come with the silliness, but you know how it works. You can't be black and go out and talk about things like the Second Amendment or anything on the conservative side without getting a lot of idiotic, you know, just chatter thrown back at you. But,
right.
You know, I'm ready for it. It's all good over here.
Well, I mean, I just got to tell you, Stacey, I just think that's it's just wrong. It's just wrong to me. That's like saying that, you know, well, Cam, you're white, you can't talk about something. If you have an opinion about something, you're inauthentic to your whiteness. I would slap somebody silly who told me that.
I'm ready to slap someone if they
I
want to come
mean,
over.
really, not that I'm a violent person. It would just be one of those things, you know. But
the light slap.
Exactly. Just stop that. Come on, wake up, snap out of it. You're just doing. You're talking silliness here. You know, I get where Russell Simmons says, you know, look, you know, we have inner city violence. I disagree with Russell Simmons when he says, by the way, that the NRA or gun owners are trying to blame young black males for violent crime. We're trying to say that the individuals who are responsible, who commit crimes, are the ones who are responsible for those crimes, regardless of their skin color, their age, their socioeconomic circumstances. If you commit the crime, you're the one responsible for it.
And just as a caveat, since I'm black and I guess I can say anything, you know, who knew? Who knew I was this free? So if you're black and you're in a gang and you're doing gun crimes, then yes, you're responsible for the gun statistics in the area where you perform the crimes. Okay, you can't say that there's a lot of criminal activity in an area and that area is populated by a majority of one race of people and then act as if it's other races of people who are doing that crime.
But it's not the race that's doing the crime.
It doesn't matter, but statistically speaking, when they aggregate out these stats, they say, well, you know, race was this, you know, age was this, socioeconomics were this. You know, this is just an indicator of what the location was and who was doing it. So it's not about race. You're right. It has nothing to do with race, but I do think one of the points that he's made inadvertently that I will agree with is that tackling gang crime is different from talking about crimes that are committed in other areas where it's basically a defense crime. Gang crimes, they're all mostly illegal weapons, where you're out and defending yourself and you're living in the suburbs, you probably own that gun legally. You know, it's a completely different ownership issue, or you know, the part of the crime in the city is that they're using illegally obtained weapons to perpetrate the crimes. So I will agree with that only. The rest of it is a load of hogwash. You can't embolden criminals by taking guns away from people who are law-abiding citizens. It just doesn't even. Those two things don't go together.
No, it doesn't. When it comes to inner city violence, I got to say, really, the best book that I personally have read on the issue is by a guy named David Kennedy. He may be very embarrassed to hear me say this because I work for NRA-News. He's a criminal justice professor, and he worked up in Boston. I don't know if you ever heard of the Boston Miracle, where the homicide rate was cut dramatically, and it wasn't because of new gun control laws. In fact, he says very early on in his book, it's called "Don't Shoot." He gets into how this is not about gun control because gun control is a divisive issue, and so we get to arguing about gun control, and then nothing ever changes for the people who live in these communities that are plagued by violence. And so he wants to get beyond that, and let's do something that works. And his thing is, you got to have community buy-in, you got to have law enforcement buy-in, and you start with the most violent gang, and you get them into the room with local, state, and federal law enforcement, and you say your days of mayhem are coming to an end. We're keeping an eye on every one of you. The next time somebody gets shot and one of your crew or one of your gang is responsible, the hammer's coming down on all of you. They take them into the next room where their parents, their family, the community is there. The community says, we're not siding with you against the cops anymore. We're siding with the cops against you. You quit destroying our neighborhoods, and if you quit destroying our neighborhoods, then we're going to try to offer you some help. You get the local churches involved. That's where you get the social workers. That's where you try to get them away from the gangs and into a more productive lifestyle. And it doesn't involve gun control. It's getting people to stop shooting each other.
Well, and so there's that, and then you named off a bunch of different things that are wonderful ideas that no one's talking about. But the biggest piece of that is that you have to give them something to do besides waiting around to shoot each other or engaging in criminal activity. And if you have churches and social workers and communities working together to come up with solutions, and you offer kids training programs and things to do that are interesting, that pique their interest, that don't take 4 years. Some of these kids they're not suited for a 4-year degree program. They maybe should do an apprenticeship or something where they can use their natural skills. Then yes, you're going to have success. One of the things that has been so disappointing about the gun control discussion, because that's what it is. This is the discussion nationally right now is centered on gun control and infringing on our rights, our Second Amendment rights as Americans, is that it has not touched on mental illness as a difficult problem that we face in this country, and the fact that a lot of people in this country are not receiving the kind of education that would enable them to do something else besides lead a life of crime. And it's really unfortunate because the test case is Chicago. That's where everyone should be focusing the types of efforts that you just described, and that's where the president comes from. And you would think with that connection he would put those two things together and say, what we really need to do is replicate what was done in Boston right there in Chicago, but instead it's about taking guns away from law-abiding citizens and making gun fanatics, gun nuts, people who like to shoot as a hobby, people who just believe in 2A, making us seem like lunatics, trying to demagogue us and turn us into enemies, when in reality it's next-door neighbors around here in my neighborhood owning weapons that keep this neighborhood safe because people know, they kind of tend to own guns a little higher rate out in that area. So maybe we won't go out there and break in.
Listen, I mean, I think that absolutely has a lot to do with it, and I think that one of the reasons why we don't see these types of programs put in place in large-scale sustained efforts is because it's hard, and it's a lot easier to propose a soundbite solution, to say, all right, we got a gun ban, and if we don't pass this gun ban and your lives don't improve, well, then blame the gun owners, because they're the ones to blame, because we had a gun ban and that would have worked, that would have saved lives, but it didn't pass, so blame the gun owners, or they'll pass these local gun control ordinances, and that's not enough because we need a state law, or we pass state gun control laws, and that's not enough because we need federal gun control laws. Even if you have the federal gun control laws, that won't be enough because we really need a UN arms trade treaty. They've got their failure baked into the cake when it comes to gun control. They've got their excuse for the next gun control law already ready to go because they know that the ones that they've passed and proposed and have pushed for won't actually solve the real problem.
And just exactly what you said. They know that. And it's not just a slippery slope. It's a straight cliff that you basically take one step off and you're in gun control land where nobody has a gun, or like in England, so few people have them that the criminals just run rampant all over the place, killing and robbing and doing whatever they want. Okay, first correction of my series on 2A.
Yes?
It's not AK for his first name and then Kashelnikov.
Automatic.
It's for automat in Russian, which is automatic in English. And I just got that via a correction on Twitter. I'm putting that out there. So if I put something on here that's not right, you can correct me, and I will come clean on the radio or wherever I happen to be at that moment.
There you go.
That just happened.
And the AR stands for Armalite, not for assault rifle.
Just I know that. Okay. I put semi-automatic rifle. I didn't define AR because I thought people would know automatic. Okay. Well, okay. I at least got that one right, but I didn't put that on here. I put semi-automatic rifle because people think it's an assault weapon, and it's not. It's a semi-automatic rifle. That's what it actually is.
It is. Absolutely. Yeah. All right. Stacy, enjoy your weekend. You going to get out to the range at all?
I am. This is going to be our first, so me and my husband are going tomorrow night for date night.
Cool. I love it.
I know. I thought you'd be proud. I'm working my way up.
I'm proud, and I'm a little jealous.
Well, you don't be jealous, because the next time I'm in D.C., we're going to have some fun.
All right. Stacy Washington with Stacy on the right. Have a great weekend. Enjoy date night. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Bye-bye.